We'll be sending the messages in the chat just to remind you of the remaining time. And whenever you're ready, just take it away and I'll start timing. All the best.
All right, thanks. All right, let's just begin. Good afternoon, friends, judges, and esteemed guests. Do you or your loved ones have diabetes? Do you or they struggle to keep up with various diabetes medications prescribed? Are you all overwhelmed in the sea of medical misinformation floating around online? Sounds like you need a pal, and you got Mel. Hi, I'm Joe Barrett. I'm part of Team Rejjects, and we are a group of first-year students at SUTD. We're introducing you to our solution, Mel, your diabetes WhatsApp pal. So why do some diabetes patients have poor medical adherence? From our findings, the four main reasons are because they have a lack of understanding about diabetes and its treatment, they don't take it seriously as they're asymptomatic, they neglect and fail to be compliant due to hectic schedules, and are unaware of the importance of medication and their lifestyle choices. Hence, the actual problem we're solving is not only to improve diabetes patients' medical adherence, but also to help them to have a strong understanding of diabetes and to involve caregivers in supporting and helping the patients to be accountable. So how might we engender greater medication compliance in type 2 diabetes patients aged 40 and above? First, we have decided to narrow down our target audience to newly diagnosed patients with mild diabetes who have a busy schedule, have misconception of diabetes, who may be forgetful, and who have a basic digital literacy. So who exactly is our target market? We've divided it based on age groups, patients' need for medication tracking, and digital literacy level. Our early adopters will primarily be newly diagnosed diabetes patients aged 40 to 50 who need medication tracking and who have moderate digital literacy, and we also include their caregivers. Our solution is Mel, a diabetes WhatsApp chatbot. Mel will help patients keep track of their medication with custom reminders, involve caregivers with timely updates, keep both patients and caregivers informed of diabetes facts and tips, with a gamified experience with quizzes, badges, gacha avatars, and vouchers to keep them engaged. It's time to meet Mel. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're excited to preview Mel. Enjoy. Mel remembers even if you forget. Here we have Mel reminding John to take his medication. However, John has forgotten which particular pill to take. Mel lets John remember which pill to take. John then takes his medication and updates Mel. John gets points for maintaining his streak. Mel keeps you accountable. Here we see John's caregiver Joe receiving an update on John's medical adherence, as well as a caregiver's guide on how to support his loved ones with diabetes. Mel works with Convidose system and smart pill boxes. If you are a Convidose user, you can just take your medicine sachet and send Mel the photo of your QR code to seamlessly register your medications. If you are a smart pillbox user, Mel can send you a link to connect to your device. Mel keeps you informed. Mel has a sibling WhatsApp chatbot called Diabetes Tips, where diabetes-related tips are shared in an easy-to-read and forwardable format with accompanying photos or videos. Diabetes Tips also sends quizzes where one can answer correctly to earn points. Mel keeps you motivated. John is asked to rate and reflect on his progress on his personal diabetes goal. This helps to foster more of John's intrinsic motivation and make tracking with Mel a much more meaningful process for him. To top it off, Mel rewards John's consistent effort with a gacha ticket that unlocks a random playable avatar that Mel refers to as BTs. This also introduces us to Mel Web. With a BTs avatar unlocked, one can play passive games that's dependent on your day-to-day consistency of using Mel. Mel Web complements your experience through badges, community posts, and more. Individuals' achievements are acknowledged with badges, which also serves to show the community their experience. Individuals can share and discuss their experiences with the community. MelWeb shares diabetes-friendly recipes and locations of nearby eateries. An individual can choose to manage and view functions like medication enrollment, report analysis, and voucher incentives on the web instead of WhatsApp. Mel, your diabetes WhatsApp pal. Great, hope you enjoyed that. So let me break down the key benefits of Mel. It It helps patients with various types of diabetes medication to remember to take the correct ones at the right time with pictures and friendly customizable labels for their medication. It gives them timely reminders based on their preferences. Mel keeps caregivers in the loop, increasing patients' accountability and support. Mel tracks and generates reports of adherence rates so they can be more aware and improve. Mel shares progress with medical professionals for better medical intervention and provides additional accountability. Due to time constraints, we'll address the competitor analysis in the Q&A. So why does Mel stand out? Mel is convenient to use. Snap a picture of your medication and enter a more intuitive description, and Mel can remind you which pill to take later on. Mel is hassle-free and will integrate together with Convidos and smart pillboxes for a seamless experience. Mel sends you customized notification reminders. It accommodates every patient's different schedule, preferences, and notification tolerances. Mel brings together the diabetes community where users and their caregivers can support each other. Mel is a personalized AI chatbot to help clear doubts and queries. Mel involves caregivers to promote accountability and build on awareness and understanding of diabetes through tips, quizzes, and games. And much more, like Mel has a lower learning curve, provides casual spaced repetition through scenario-based quizzes, and has multi-language support. Under our retention scheme, users are rewarded for their medical compliance with vouchers, which can also be earned through referrals to new users. Users can chat with AI chatbots with questions ranging from common diabetes queries to their personalized diabetes plan. Community-based web app allows users to be inspired by other patients and caregiver stories. We foster users' intrinsic motivation through weekly reflections and goal settings. Users are also kept engaged with collectibles through our gacha-based system, on top of the badges and rewards for users who maintain adherence. On our web, beyond community forums, we've added benefits and resources on nutrition, diet plan, healthy eateries, collectibles, medication reports to keep users engaged. We've released a survey to gauge how effective Mel will be for those with diabetes and their caregivers. Ongoing, we'll continue gaining patients and medical experts feedback as we develop and refine Mel. Based on our preliminary survey findings, over 80% of respondents find that a WhatsApp bot is useful and helpful for them or their loved ones. So how does the market potential look like for Mel? We potentially have almost 180,000 total addressable market of direct users, excluding caregivers. The statistics show how impactful Mel can be in helping people comply with medication. We seek to partner with medium to large health organizations, WhatsApp business solution providers, Singapore medtech and government agencies, smart pillbox companies, Convidos, and insurance companies. As we would highly desire our bot to be free to patients, our revenue stream will be generated mainly through sponsorships and advertisements from the health sector. For our user acquisition, we'll have a main web landing page and we'll reach out to users mainly through diabetes support groups, community center events, offline and online advertisements. Our roadmap involves 5 stages: tech development, commercialization with partners and reaching our target audience, deployment for beta testing, continuous customer feedback, product launch. These 5 stages will be executed in the next few months, as seen in the timeline with our product launch schedule in March 2022. We're excited about the project and we have just the right team to do it. We have Rohit as Product Development Director, Ernest as Outreach Director, me, Joe, as Technology Director, Giati as Operations Director, and James as R&D Director. Currently, we're seeking business expert in the medical or technical industry to help guide us on enhancing our business model. Feel free to contact me or my team if you share our vision as well. We would lastly want to extend our thanks to our mentors, Dr. Ang Hui Ying, Dr. Leroy Ko, esteemed panelists, advisors for guiding us through this journey, and of course, the BHH organizing team for giving us this opportunity. We're extremely grateful. We can now move on to the Q&A session so I can address your questions.
Awesome. Yep, it seems like you have taken over my job and directed the whole flow, so I don't do anything. Yep, so we have a first question from Dr. Mary. So sounds like a community health initiative and adding on to existing solution. So I think the question is, what is the development cost and recurring maintenance cost associated? And who will be your sponsors?
Okay. So in terms for cost development, we estimate it if you have 1,000 users, it could come about to 26,000 per year. So yep, that's our current cost, and we want to reach out to any local health industry for advertisements. So they can advertise through our WhatsApp chatbot. So we have 2 chatbots. They can have their advertisements on our WhatsApp tips chatbot as well as our online web. Yeah.
Yep, I see this slide that you have presented as well. Is it relevant to the Q&A?
Yes, it shows the cost structure on the bottom left.
All right. Yep. Anyone from your team want to take on, further elaboration or anything? If not, I'll go on to the next question.
Next question.
Okay. Yep. So actually, there's a glitch on my side. Yep. Assis, if you have anything to ask, please feel free. Yep. Thank you, Suchi or Benson. So, why WhatsApp and not other communicators or omni-channel communication?
Okay. Because WhatsApp is very prevalent in Singapore, especially it's almost universal with everyone. So we see that it's high reach and it's easier to reach the patients where they are at instead of bringing them on board to other channels. Yeah.
Okay, I think as our judges are still typing their questions, I remember that just now during your presentation, there's a part of the slide they want to cover as well. Would you like to go through that part first?
Sure. Okay, so who are we competing with? Let me briefly run through our competitors. So we have One Drop for Diabetes Health and MediSafe as our direct competitors, who are primarily focused on solving diabetes through communicating glucose data to physicians and attempting to introduce lifestyle changes. However, we feel that a person who is non-compliant to medication for diabetes can only do so much from a lifestyle perspective to protect himself from it. And then we have smart pill box and dispensers, which are devices that with accompanying apps to remind and track the progress of medication adherence, but I feel it doesn't address the underlying needs of patients who have a lack of understanding in a palpable way. We do consider unverified forwardable WhatsApp messages from friends and family as a softer form of competition too, as this may falsely address the need of the patients. And lastly, we're competing with Health Hub and similar sites which provide reliable Singapore-oriented diabetes guides. As you can see, we are uniquely placed, and when it comes to our competition, our solution tries to bridge this gap, bringing patients to stick to their medication and be informed of how their decisions for compliance can help them along the way. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, thanks, Joe. So just want to open it to the floor again to check on our judges whether there's anything you want to clarify. Yeah.
Just to add on to the previous question about WhatsApp, I wanted to say WhatsApp is much more prevalent in the age groups that we're targeting at. So that's why we chose WhatsApp over other modes of communication.
Okay, thank you for your response. Yep. We have another question from Dr. Agatha. So, Dr. Agatha is asking, are you aiming to generate clinical evidence?
Aiming to generate clinical evidence. Sorry, I don't understand what generate clinical. I mean, are we? Is the question regarding like how are we going to support our application, like evidence for that? Is it?
Yep. In this case, maybe I can invite Dr. Agatha to the stage, and if it's convenient, feel free to join the stage and clarify on the question as well.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Fantastic. Sure. So the question is if you're aiming to generate clinical evidence that your intervention works, so that people engage with the app, and then by engaging with the app, there are actually improvements in their state. And what would be the outcome measures that you are going to use for your analytics, and what is your definition of success?
Okay. Yes, we would always continuously get feedback and from our users and patients, and in terms of success rate, we would see how well they are complying with their medication rates, whether they are improving, and perhaps we can collaborate with medical teams in Singapore, and then like we can see is their health progressing as well. I mean, ultimately we want them to be healthier. So if their checkups during their checkups, if it's their diabetes medication, if their condition is getting better, that will be a sign that we're on the right track.
So what exactly is the measure that you're going to use of the condition getting better?
Sorry if I may interrupt. Sorry. Okay, so the main thing we want to also look at the retention rate also. So the way that we want to see whether it is working is when they comply to their medication, and maybe because so we are also integrating with the convidos, right? If as long as they manage to comply with their medication for a long period of time, then that is what is success to us. And the main thing for what we want for the clinical evidence is for retention rate. So because we want users to be using the app consistently, not just a one-off thing. So using this data, we can then maybe tweak our solution to meet the greater needs.
Adding to that, we also when we're doing the clinical studies, we will try to monitor their H1B/AC every 3 months.
Okay.
Okay, hope that answers your question, Dr. Agata. So in the Q&A segment, we have two more questions. First one from Mr. Teo. So let me show you on stage. So what are some of the barriers to entry to your competitors? Because it seems like it might be slightly easy to replicate your solution.
So the barrier for entry for our competitors is it starts with there is a certain to create a WhatsApp bot. You need to have an existing presence in Singapore as a medium to large enterprise. So this eliminates like smaller startups just trying to catch up without collaborating with big partnerships. So that's one of the barriers. Other barriers could be sorry, let me just think for a sec. So we were hoping to leverage on the partnerships we have to and ensure that we have a reputable source, and that would differentiate us from other competitors who may not have the local presence and local governing authorities trust.
Okay, thank you, Joe. So next up, we have two questions from Mr. Lai. The first one, wait, let me check. Yeah. So Mr. Lai is asking whether there's a way for the judges to actually test the effectiveness of the solution for the goals that you have stated.
So to answer this question, we have a customer feedback phase after the first deployment, and we're continuously going to go back and forth between our patients and recover data and see if they've really improved sticking to their medication ourselves.
I think once we give the notification of the medication reminder, right, we also ask the user to update us with options 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whether they have taken the medication, whether they forgot to take the medication at this stipulated time, or whether they delayed their dose. So that statistic would be collected, and we will be analyzing it using data analytics tools such as Google Analytics to keep a more quantitative approach. And as my teammate talked about the qualitative approach to it, it's our user and customer feedback phase, which we'll be doing after our initial deployment for our beta testing.
Yep, thank you for your response. Hope that answers your question. If not, feel free to have a follow-up question as well. So for the second part of the question, I flash it on stage. Feel free to take a read. So in a sense, I think Mr. Lai is asking how can improvements in HbA1c be attributable to the solution itself and not some other interventions that the patient is exposed to.
That's a good question. Thanks for the question. So perhaps we can, when we in our initial phases, we can have we can get in collaboration with the health parties, health team industries, we can find certain patients who have poor adherence, and we can split them into groups, one with with the introduction of our of Mel, and one without Mel, and can try to compare and assess from there.
Just to add on, Joe, can you go on to the problem statement slide?
Sure.
Yeah. So our target audience includes newly diagnosed type 2 diabetes patients. So in the case of these patients, right, we see that their HbA1c levels might not be as worse as for some of the patients who already been dealing with chronic diabetes, right? So basically, we can see an improvement if they stick to their medication of sorts and it goes back to normal levels.
Hi, sorry if I may add on. So we don't really rule out the possibility of other solutions helping them to improve in their HbA1c levels, but we definitely are trying to be involved in it for to generate the medical compliance that could help them improve in the levels too. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ernest, as well. So we have roughly 3 minutes left for the Q&A segment. So judges, if any final questions, burning questions you want to ask, feel free to send them in. If not, I'll give the teams, some of the time as well to maybe perhaps fill out some of the gaps for perhaps earlier questions that you have missed out on. Yeah, anything you want to add on, just feel free to take this time to do so as well.
Sure.
Okay, we have a question from Mr. Lai. So, Mr. Lai is seeing some similarities between your proposal and some of the smart pill boxes, which has, studies being conducted as well. So, I think this is a general comment instead of a question. Yeah, for you to really to look at some of the studies that are being done.
Oh, I think this is a very good advice for us. We'll definitely look at this now. Thank you so much for this advice. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Then perhaps I can just add on. So like for smart pill boxes, like I mentioned earlier, might miss out on the understanding concepts and might neglect that, as well as for some of the research I've seen on this, it's the smart pill boxes. If it's a more of a reminder kind of smart pill boxes, it can get annoying after some time. So what Mel can do instead is we can have the instead of a proactive reminder, we can have the reactive or reminder where if they miss their doses, then they'll get reminded. So if they take the medication on time, they won't be annoyed with a notification. They can just go on. They can just up. So if they have the smart pillbox integration with Mel, they can just take medication as usual. If they don't, then they can update Mel, say, hey, I've taken my medication today. So this decreases the annoyance on patients now.
Okay, thank you, Joe. And with that, that's all the time we have for the Q&A segment. So once again, good job for your presentation as well as the Q&A session just now. So with that, I will have to kindly invite you off the stage. Just want to say good job and have a good rest later. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, teams. And with that, we are moving on to the final presentation for